history books they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat, whilst Hess remained in prison and the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots, the maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
From all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in the Dublin street where the lion runs do beat, and the modelling English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Come tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2. Like the Zulus, they had nice bows and arrows. Of how brave you faced one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Come let us hear you tell how you stand the brave Parnell and taught him well and truly persecuted. Where are the stares and jeers that you proudly let us hear when our heroes of 16 were executed? Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch all with the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch all with the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
Oh, come out, you pretty sons, come out and fight without your guns. Show your wife how you won medals up in Derry. You murdered 16 men and you'll do the same again. So get out of here and take your bloody army. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Oh, come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra.
Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, you absolute reprobates. How are we all? I am melting. Thank you for asking. Yes, it is sweaty spaghetti at the moment on Turf Island. Yes. Anyway, how are we all? Other than that, spent the afternoon. I have what we have Irish skin in my family, right? Like, we don't tan so much as we crisp up, like a nice rasher of bacon. I have gone full lobster. We spent the afternoon. We went around with my niece and nephew, myself and my mother, and we went to it was a lovely little theme park thing. I'm going to say theme park, very small theme park. Don't imagine like, you know, fucking Epcot or some shit like that. This is like, you know, a little fun fair thing. It was very nice though. We went on the teacups, and I'll be honest with you, I am now at the size where fitting into children's rides is difficult enough. Like with the leg room, lack of leg room is a problem, but also gut room. So there's that. You know, yeah. So, but we had a lovely time. It was very pleasant. Thank you to Hannah Reloaded for raiding in, by the way. Much love. Yeah. I'm Kevin Logan. I'm a socialist from the UK. You can hit the follow button if you wanted to. If you felt so inclined. We will be talking about politics and stuff shortly, I'm sure. Thank you, MBT2K, for resubscribing. Happy New Year and happy birthday and Happy New Year. Thank you, MB2K. Happy New Year to you, sir. Sir? I don't know. I'm guessing, really. Sir, madam, it, them. I don't know what you are. But God bless you nonetheless. Your voice is coming in soft. Are you too far from the microphone? I don't think so. I don't think so. But maybe if I'm moving closer, I don't know. Wow, black and tans, you really are amazing. Lol. Well, thank you, Mark Duffy, 1888. I assume you're a Celtic Football Club fan, given that you have the Celtic logo in your PFP, and indeed the year 1888 is rather a giveaway as well. Mon the hoops. Yes. Anyway. Maybe my laptop is dying. We're all dying, Big Zebra. We're all fucking dying. Some of us feel more dead than others, though. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Idiosyncrasy hit the 1 year subscribe anniversary, did they? Oh, they did? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you did. You're quite right. I miss these things because I'm very bad at my job. I'm exceptionally bad. You know. Thank you, idiosyncrasy_666 for resubscribing. You have been with me 12 months. You should seek medical intervention for this clear affliction from which you suffer. May you go in peace, and may God have mercy on your soul. Yes, you can give me money in the ways in which you know you can, right? Bits, subs, subscriptions, memberships, super chats, all of that good shit. If you're able to, and if you wanted to, you can do. I am not on camera this evening because it is too hot. Thus the window is open. Thus the light is off. Thus my titties are out. They're boy titties, and so therefore it's allowed, because that's how that works. We live in a very fair society. But I don't want to inflict that on you anyway, so, you know. Thank you, Specsbean Farmer, for 13 months on the YouTube. Much love to you. We may or may not be being joined by a posh bird at some point in the near future. She is currently Formula One-ing. She is one-ing in a Formula fashion, as far as I am aware. So, you know. It is 12 degrees Celsius where I am in Hamilton, Ontario. Well, see, you are not just in the incorrect time zone, you are in the incorrect civilization, in all honesty. Actually, I have family in Ontario. It doesn't matter. I think I've mentioned them once or twice, but yeah. Is Formula One a reference? No, it is not. No, we're talking motor racing. Jesus Christ, Big Zebra. That is fucking mental. But thank you. Right. Yes. Thank you, Dingus, with 20 streak thing. I don't know why it tells me these things. I don't care. Look, your own addiction to this terrible, terrible stream should not concern me. I don't know why I have to be told about your sick, disgusting perversions. Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a membership and for gifting another membership. And Specspeed Farmer for 5 memberships. Honestly, I'm going to have to suck all of your penises. Your, at current date of recording, unknown number of penises. An indeterminate X number of penises. Anyway. Also, if you can hear people outside, then my next door neighbours are getting drunk in their garden. Which is fine, got no problem with that, but they may get rowdy at some point. So if you hear them, don't worry, I'm not being shouted at. They're shouting at each other. Which is fine, who cares? You know. Is the for the channel point... Hang on. Is it for channel points? Channel points equals pension fund, right? No. No. No, it does not mean that. Also, let's be honest. We are not making it to retirement, okay? The heat death of the universe is clearly coming. So, yeah. Just strap in, strap on, and strap out. Don't know what any of that meant. Right. I'll set up the Google Meet now. And we'll get to posh birding. I should probably stop using that joke, really. Because new people won't understand what I mean by that. For the Stanners, if you're still around, I refer to my upcoming co-hostess with the co-mostess as a posh bird because I was recognised in public at a football, soccer game, and yes, they said that they really enjoyed the stream I did with that posh bird, referring to the possibly about to appear No Justice MTG, and that amused me. It was simultaneously trans-affirming and misogynistic, which is a weird combination, but there you go. What are we doing? What am I doing, chat? Other than wasting everyone's time, I suppose. Which is definitely a thing. Oh. Let's have a cheeky gander at that. That seems pitch perfect for football. Oh, pitch perfect. I see what you've done there. I see what you've done. But I'm the only person allowed to do jokes on this channel. Okay? Oh, my neighbour's getting a little bit rowdy. They might be getting a little bit rowdy soon. It is 10:30, and a combination of sun and alcohol will do that to a group of people who are related by blood. Yes. Oh, who have we got on the show? We've got Darren Jones, oh, the cabinet minister, Alan Milburn, oh my god, Tory cunt. Robert Jenrick, Tory cunt. Children's Commissioner Rachel D'Souza, I don't know who that is. Journalist Vicky Spratt, I don't know who that is. And James Reed, Chairman and CEO of the Reed Group. I don't know who any of those three guests are. Okay. So this is going to be shit then. What's that? 24th of June, protest trans apartheid. What's happening here? What? Trans solidarity. Oh, okay. Actually, I might go to that. I don't know what I'm up to in June. But if I am available, I shall travel down for that. Anyone want to do a school check? On who? Okay, we'll do Darren Jones, I suppose. School check on Darren Jones. La la la. He went to he grew up in Lawrence Weston. Where the fuck is that? It's a post-war housing estate in northwest Bristol. Okay. Went to Portway Community School and the University of Plymouth, studying law. Okay. So it's vaguely normal, albeit he is also briefcase superino. Alan Milburn, I think, also is a relatively normal background, albeit not a normal person now. Stokesley Comprehensive, Lancaster University. Yeah, perfectly normal. Fine. No problems there. Robert Jenrick, I imagine, is posh enough to have done the Oxbridge thing. Let's have a look. Bubba J. Yep. Yep. I went to St John's, Cambridge, to get a first class history degree. Oh God, a historian! Don't you just hate historians? People who study university history are scum. Brackets, me. Dame Rachel Mary D'Souza, nee Kenny. That's she's Irish heritage. She went to St Bede's in which is a Catholic voluntary academy and secondary school in Scunthorpe. And then Haythrop College, University of London, received a PGCE. What the fuck is that? A postgraduate certificate. And then an MA in education from King's College London. Okay, well that's vaguely normal as well. Vicky Spratt, journalist. She looks posh. Just off the yeah, there we go. She attended Oxted County School, which is a mixed grammar school in Surrey, and then Pembroke College, Oxford. Yeah, what a surprise. And we'll do our last school check. James Reed. What about James Reed? Who is this person? He graduated from Oxford. Brilliant. He went to Christchurch, Oxford, and then Harvard Business School. Oh no, he is a cunt. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Ahoy hoy.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. What's it like experiencing sun in Birmingham for the first time?
Honestly, the rats are loving it.
Have they got a little kind of rat sunbeds?
Well, obviously. They're civilised people.
Much more so than the inhabitants.
The four-legged inhabitants of this city are loving it. The two-legged ones are sweating like fuck. It's terrible behaviour. Yes, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I can't complain in the slightest. I've been enjoying the sunshine today.
Good. What have you been up to?
How about yourself? I was hanging out with mates, played some cards, went to the pub.
Lovely. I took my niece and nephew to a little fucking fun fair thing. It was delightful.
That absolutely does sound delightful, yeah.
It was. And then when they got tired, I took them home to their parents. It's the best of both worlds.
Literally, so true.
Yeah.
Imagine children that you can kind of put away at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like you get them when they're like happy and awake, and then when they're tired or hungry, you send them home. Brilliant. Perfect.
Couldn't have planned it better myself.
Honestly, I'm the cool uncle. We just get to do fun stuff, and I don't have to discipline them or anything. It's awesome. Anyway. Yes. Did we have anything to talk about before we get on to award-winning shite?
I don't think so, really. I don't think there's much. There wasn't any news today, was there?
Not really, no. There was, I mean, I don't know if this is even really anything, I suppose. But, like, I think we talked, didn't we, about them wanting to do voluntarily asking supermarkets to price cap and all of that. And this does seem to be the theme. Keir Starmer really understands the scope of the situation, how we need drastic change. So he's done a very similar thing here, in that he is asking the private sports broadcasting company, TNT Sports, to voluntarily allow people to watch a thing they have paid hundreds of millions of pounds for the exclusive rights to show. Even though, like, Kia, right? I don't have to explain this to you, but there's a thing called the crown jewels. Not the crown jewels that the Queen owns. They're referred to colloquially in that way. A series of sporting events that the government literally mandates have to be put on free-to-air television, like the FA Cup final or major international soccer tournaments. Wimbledon, another example, right?
Not the Ashes, though.
No, not the Ashes, or indeed any England international cricket at all. Brilliant, thanks, David Cameron. Secondly, you could do that, and you don't even need to get it through Parliament. That's just a thing in the power of the executive to just do that. You could do that. You could have done that at any point in the last 2 years. Asking them nicely to not make money is not a solution to anything, you prick.
Literally, it is. It does seem to be the pinnacle of Labour briefcase politics.
It's embarrassing. Like,
especially at a time of continually increased authoritarianism on like the general public, right?
Yeah, everything deserves a crackdown except where you could actually do something about it. Where it would actually help. Yeah.
Like the Department for Media, Culture and Sport, right? Like DCMS literally has statutory power to be able to mandate that these companies do the thing that you're asking them to do. And instead you're saying, pretty please don't make money. And they're like, no.
Well, not even that. Like, for instance, TNT probably wouldn't bid for a contract that they had to put out free to air because they make money from not prescriptions, from subscriptions, right? So when you mandate that it has to be put on free to air TV, that basically limits it to the BBC, ITV, Sky occasionally will do it and then put it on like one of their free to air TV stations if they have to. But like it limits the number of things, and that's why the companies lobby like fuck to not have to do that, because the FA know that they can sell the rights to football, or UEFA in this case, can sell the rights to football far more if they can sell it to 20 companies than if they can sell it to 3.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Basic, supply and demand, etc., etc. But you can't play both sides of the field here, ironically enough, Kia. If you want people to have access to these things, you do have to allow it on a platform which can be accessed free to air, which TNT is not.
No, quite. And the thing as well is a lot of the terrestrial channels, you then got to find a terrestrial channel with the free schedule space to be able to put the sporting event as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, anyway. So just the uselessness of Keir Starmer. Even having been kicked in the bollocks by the electorate, he's still just briefcasing.
Yep, literally so true. Whilst we're on the subject of sports,
go on then.
I was very sad that literally none of the things that I wanted to happen happened today.
What did you want to happen, and what did happen?
I wanted Spurs to go down, and I wanted
anti-Semitism, clearly.
Yeah, clearly, and I wanted Bournemouth to qualify for the Champions League.
Why?
Because it would have been cool, because they'd never qualified for the Champions League before.
Yeah, but they're shit and would have embarrassed us as a nation.
I don't think that necessarily would be the case. So turns out like the funding for basically all of the Premier League teams is higher than basically like all but 10 of the European continental teams. It's really fucked up.
That is literally true. Yeah. Actually, there are several clubs in lower leagues that are comparative to most Premier League teams in other countries.
Yeah, I think the only other like league that really has the same kind of similar kind of funding is the Bundesliga, right?
Yes, and by the way, interestingly, that's mandated free to air in Germany, and they did the very interesting thing of increasing the financial output of that by making it free to air in Britain as well. So if you want to watch Bundesliga in Britain, you can do for free, which means British people who usually couldn't give two fucks have been watching the Bundesliga in record numbers this season. There's a point to this. If you want a long-term sustainable fucking fan base, make it available for people to engage with it.
Yeah, and suddenly, loads of sponsors and petrochemical billionaires are pouring into the German game.
Indeed. But yeah, the English second tier is the 5th most watched league in Europe. Yep. Which is a bit mental.
And also I found out that, like, in terms of overall, if you like, normalize for purchasing power parity, that the third most although the sports league in the world with the third most funding in it is the Indian Premier League.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Behind the EPL and behind the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's, I suppose, to a degree, the accumulation of the amount of advertising you can sell to 1 billion people.
Well, there's a reason why Disney, with the Disney Plus, are the people who bought the rights to stream the IPL. Well,
Yeah.
They didn't even buy the rights to stream the IPL. They just bought Star Sports. They just bought the entire to the Indians because they realized, there's 1 billion people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Yeah, and advertisers will pay to a lot of money to advertise to a bit. It's nearing 2 billion at this point, isn't it? It's a lot of. They're the highest fucking number of people on Earth, and that's just in India. People outside of India also watch it.
Yeah,
But,
1.45 billion currently in India.
That is a lot of fucking people. That is a lot of people. Which
Actually,
you know.
Lee Brown says in chat, isn't it also cheap to attend Bundesliga matches? It's cheap to attend EPL matches.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we realise that actually, given how much money is in the EPL, the ticket deals really aren't that bad, especially if you can compare it to American sporting events.
Which are disgusting. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Like I've seen like the World Cup prices have been fucking crazy.
Yeah, but like even for like domestic, like if you want to go and watch an NBA game, it's hundreds of dollars to sit right at the back for one regular season game. Like not even like the finals or some shit. Like it's just ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I did. It was kind of cool that Hull City won from 6th in the Championship to go up to the Premier League. So one will expect they will go straight back down again.
Yeah. Also, it is rather typical of Keir Starmer in this instance, being an Arsenal fan, to say, oh, everyone should be able to watch Arsenal. The fact that we also had, and I despise them, but they were playing in a European final, Aston Villa in the second-tier European final in midweek. He didn't, not a peep out of him about that being on private TV. And we have Crystal Palace in the third tier of the European competition in the Conference League final. That he's not mentioned that. You should be able to watch just Arsenal, apparently.
I mean, clearly he realizes that I have experienced being able to go to the Arsenal for free.
So should everyone. Yeah, yeah. Whereas,
why don't you ask?
Yeah. So what we need to do is give him free tickets to everything. And then he'll have sympathy and go, actually, you know what? People should be able to attend these events. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe Lord Ali should buy the rights to stream the Champions League final from TNT Sports, right?
And
then give it to the country for free, or give it just to Keir Starmer for free.
Fair enough. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. Also, my name in chat says, I'm the chatter who'd never been to B&M. I went to my nearest B&M today and I've been converted. The Oreos were indeed only 70p. My horizons have been broadened. Well, I'm glad to hear it because, why the fuck would anyone pay more than 70p for Oreos? Like,
well, and also to the B&M Corporation, whoever their parent company is, send free shit to Helena because she just won you a new customer.
I did. This stream is not sponsored by B&M Bargains, but if you're watching, guys, it certainly could be.
Well, as we know, I'm sponsored by Raytheon.
True.
Because I am part of the plastic left, you understand?
Absolutely.
Anyway, award-winning fucking aneurysm incoming.
This morning, what to do when the worst happens. An extraordinary interview this morning. A 16-year-old girl whose teen rapists were not sent to jail tells us they must be behind bars.
Okay. Okay.
I just find it frustrating that it's just like they latch on to singular cases as if, well, like if you think there's something wrong with the sentencing guidelines or how these things are supposed to work, then at least go through the channels to change what those sentencing guidelines are. It's just like with the Southport murders, it was like, this is some damning indictment of our society, and I'm just like, some systems failed. Please think in terms of systems rather than individuals.
Yeah. And of course, this would the establishment pretending to care about these young girls would ring far less hollow if they weren't all part of the Epstein class.
Also very true.
Just saying.
Why did I sit and put myself through the pain of going to court, going through a trial, reliving everything because of evidence and watching it all happen again? It sort of gave me a sense of, what's the point?
Her family tells us they felt physically sick listening to the judge.
And they have this. What I will say is that given how insanely low our conviction rate for rape is, to the point at which the crime is de facto legal, you feel she probably is, somewhat correct to be here saying like, well, hang on a minute, I've gone through all of this and we've actually managed to, once in a blue moon, find someone who did the thing guilty, and we're not actually imposing a punishment that befits said crime. I can understand why she's pissed off.
Yeah. But of course, the same people who want to protect the women and girls aren't taking this story up because they can't use it to, like, racially bash people, I guess.
Yeah.
Message for the Prime Minister.
Please help. If it was your daughter, your niece, your son, your nephew, your family member, would you be happy?
Yeah, but in Keir Starmer's defence, he only cares about himself, so he wouldn't care if that happened, I think.
True.
But what is the best way to deal with teens who commit terrible crimes?
And again, it's I'm just going to have to point out the hypocrisy of all of these fucking people as we go along. But, like, you're asking the Prime Minister, and I understand why she's saying what she's saying, of course. I have a great deal of sympathy for her. But you're asking a Prime Minister who's absolutely fine with Lord Yum Yum. Like, he's not going to fucking do anything about this. Why would he?
Yeah, literally.
Senior Cabinet Minister Darren Jones is with
this fucking creature, who also, in doing the media rounds, was defending MPs getting pissed.
It's actually fucking insane. I do not know why these people continually defend this stuff. What do they have stand to? It is incredible. The first time I've ever seen like loads of MPs, A, all on the same side, and B, at least look like they have genuine opinions. And it's them defending their own right to get fucking wasted on the job.
Yeah.
with us live, and we'll be joined by Reform's Robert Jenrick. And while you were
So it's just wall-to-wall Tories then?
Cool.
asleep, this happened.
Comment.
Close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
Another shooting in Washington, D.C., this time right by the White House.
And because it didn't happen in a school classroom, they're actually reporting on it. Cool.
Reporters ran for...
Whilst on the subject of Yank Slop, did you see that there's been an official White House subpoena for Hassan Piker?
Well, it's because Mamdani refused to condemn him and Hamas.
It's true.
Fact.
Just so it turns out that there's a federal indictment against Hassan Piker for going to Cuba, and they allege that he'd stayed at one of the hotels you're not allowed to stay at, which is literally just not true. And they're assuming that the assumption that people are going with is that they're pulling him up for doing so because someone on right-wing Twitter said so, and they didn't bother checking.
Well, of course, because Trump and these people literally get their news from Twitter.
True.
Yeah.
For cover as Secret Service agents shot a 21-year-old man near Donald Trump's residence. We'll bring you up to date. And Alan Milburn, the former minister tasked with...
Okay, he's got tits. I'm just saying.
I mean, if you have that figure, why would you wear a polo shirt?
It's not a good look.
Sorting out what he says is a scandal, tells us we should all be ashamed that nearly 1 million young people aren't learning or in work.
This is really shameful. I mean, it's one thing to be ignorant, it's another thing to be neglectful. And we...
Well, maybe if you hadn't collaborated with the Tory government that sold those children's futures, we wouldn't be in as bad a situation. Alan.
True.
As a society, and we in politics, have been neglectful of what is frankly a scandal, and it's a scandal that we can't afford.
And our team at the desk for the next hour this week, Dame Rachel D'Souza, the Children's Commissioner, chronicler of Gen Z, journalist Vicky Spratt, and James Reid, the boss of one of the biggest recruiters in the country.
Yeah, we did a school check before we got going. You never guess where Vicky Spratt went.
Oxbridge?
Yeah, of course you fucking did. But she's really in tune with Gen Z. You understand?
Morning, morning. Let's start, as we always do, with what is making the news today. There's lots of coverage of reform in the papers today. The Sunday Express splashes on the party's promise to scrap tax on overtime. We'll talk to Robert Jenrick about that later. The Sunday Mirror claims that reform has benefited from £15 million from donors with foreign interests. The Sunday Times carries more allegations against the former Prince Andrew. And it says reform would get rid of the Cabinet Office, where one of our guests, Darren Jones, is currently the boss.
Again, you know, the establishment, the fucking shill for the king, who is currently still allowing this creature to live on the Sandringham estate, I believe, in one of the many mansions on that estate. But it's a slightly smaller mansion, so that's a punishment, apparently, than his previous one. Okay, cool. Yeah, again, your faux concern for the protection of women and girls would count a lot more if you weren't, you know, a part of the system that protects the abuser.
Have you watched the Whitest Kids You Know sketch about homeschooling?
No, I have not seen this.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a sketch where some kid's getting homeschooled and he keeps getting sent to different rooms in the house as a punishment, and it's just like, oh no, I can't go to the garage. That's where the pool table is.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's the punishment.
But the New York Times website is reporting on what could be a big story today, a potential peace deal between Iran and the US. We'll see how that unfolds.
Again, it's just irresponsible to quote Donald Trump. It just is. When he says largely negotiated, that doesn't mean anything. That literally means nothing. It could be about to happen or it could be months away. It means nothing. He just says things.
Well, Iran have basically immediately after he made that statement were just like, yeah, no, he's lying. We'll maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz because of course we will.
Yeah, exactly. It's bullshit.
Through the day across the BBC, and these images have gone round the world in the last couple of hours. A month after a shooter broke into the White House Correspondents' Dinner, journalists...
No, they didn't. They broke into an adjunct part of the same building that was still with 2 layers of security between him and even getting into the same room as the president. He didn't break into the fucking thing at all. He ran past one line of people and got tackled. Look, it's nothing. I'm sorry. Look, Donald Trump will do this. I'm the most attacked president ever. Motherfucker, 4 of them were successfully assassinated. I'm sorry, the last thought that passed through JFK's mind before the bullet did probably was not thinking, oh no, if only they shot me in the ear instead. For fuck's sake. God almighty, the yank slop shit that these fucking supposed journalists will come up with. Fucking embarrassing.
Ran for cover when a gunman was killed by Secret Service agents last night near the White House. Our partner CBS News has named the suspect as Nazir Best, a 21-year-old who was known to the authorities. In a post to Truth Social, the president, Donald Trump, thanked the Secret Service for their...
Let me guess, he needs a ballroom to protect him as well now again. Is that a thing? I don't know.
All of the orbiters will tweet it immediately.
Yeah.
Swift and professional action in apprehending the gunman, who he said had a violent history and possible obsession with our country's most cherished structure. Well, the shooting remains under investigation, but here we are again, Rachel, another episode of political violence in America.
Yeah, and I mean...
Really? Political violence in America? Has that ever happened before? I wonder if literally the person who founded that nation was really famous for slitting the throats of British servicemen as they slept.
Quite.
Yeah.
And also, just like it's political violence in America. The one that is that the same America that bombed the school full of school children?
No, that was Iran did that to themselves.
True.
Facts. They had bodies in cold storage from the protests earlier in the year. Yeah, this definitely happened, and we can definitely believe Ahmed Jalili going mental on Twitter.
What children, I'm Children's Commissioner for England, and what children will be seeing is more chaos. I've talked to 1 million of them over the last 6 years, and they're saying to me that they're seeing news from all over the world coming into them. They're living these murders, they're living these shootings, war in Europe, war in Iran, 24/7.
Genocide in Gaza? Want to mention that at all? No.
And they're seeing political instability. In fact, I've surveyed 4 million, national representative survey of 4 million of them. Their third biggest concern is world peace issues in the world, far more than 60.
Oh, no. When I mentioned George Washington cutting people's throats as they slept, I'm not even condemning that. I'm saying that's just a thing that happened. It's just a truth. America was founded upon, like, crazy violence, because that's what revolutions are. Like, it's not.
Yep, quite literally.
The British Empire weren't like, weren't asking nicely for the tax, and the American people were not like, look, we will peacefully observe the laws or taxes. No, it was death or taxes. It's
years ago.
And Vicky, for you as a journalist, you're really specialising on covering rising generations who arguably don't get enough attention in Westminster. When this kind of thing happens, how do you think people react?
Were they German mercenaries? Well, that's okay then.
To it.
I think our politics has become more febrile. So whenever there's a shooting in America, that is seen as a reflection of this really fractious debate. And if you look at what's happening here, thankfully we do not have guns in the same way that they do in America. But just last week, the Chancellor was heckled and shouted at when she was speaking at a petrol station near Leeds. And then the leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, said he'd like to...
Hang on a minute. Were you comparing an attempted assassination to having words yelled at you in the streets?
Yeah, literally. Like, one of those is using your freedom of speech to seek redress from a politician. The other one is attempted murder. These are not the same thing, really.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jonathan Ashworth and whoever the Welsh woman was getting mad at like Gaza protesters. We were intimidated on the campaign trail. Yes. No, you would ask questions about your policy positions.
Yeah.
To buy the person who was shouting at her a pint. I think what happens in politics shapes the national conversation of any country, and future generations are looking on.
Like, of all the things you can look, motherfucker, he has spent the last few weeks saying he's going to open up concentration camps in the in places that vote for his political enemies, and you're like, he said he would buy a pint for a person who heckled, and that's your critique of him. Yeah, you really got your fucking finger on the pulse. Also, she looks like Femme Shapiro.
I mean, I see where you're coming from.
And learning.
James, what do you make of that debate? I mean, politics has always been rough and tumble. I don't absolutely
also,
not diminishing what's happened in America.
On top of this, given the fact that Nigel Farage continually gets assaulted with milk products,
yes,
I would be like, maybe if someone is in a position to be able to delineate between harmless banter and assaults with which people get charged for, Farage is probably actually in that position.
America, but do you worry about the tone of debate in this country?
It has always been rough and tumble, and I think free speech is really important, and I think it's important that people can express themselves with emotion, and that might mean that there are sort of exchanges in petrol stations. I wouldn't buy the guy a pint, but I think it's important that people can give expression. I thought the Chancellor did well in that situation.
Well, she told him off.
She did, and I thought she came out of it with crack.
Right.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, they both use their freedom of speech. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
Literally, yeah. It was she exactly kind of remember when? If you remember that time when on the campaign trail, Ed Miliband gets like hit whilst he's on camera with an egg like straight in his jacket, and he takes his jacket off and just goes like, "Oh, clearly that guy doesn't like me."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just carried on with his shit. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Credit. So I think it is a fractured world we're living in, but I think part of people's frustration is not being able to give expression to their views and opinions in ways that are listened to.
OK, well, we'll be listening to you very carefully through the course of the next hour. We'll be back with you shortly. Because what you're about to hear this morning is distressing, but it's deeply important. This week, 2 teenage girls saw their teenage attack.
Now, again, I will just preface this with her faux sincerity at this point would matter a lot more if she weren't like one of the chief dick riders, as it were, of Boris Johnson, a man known to employ and select sex pests.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm sorry, you don't get to pretend. And, of course, lest we forget, the information was already out there about Yum Yum and his friendship, very close friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, and she had him on the show on the panel. She had fucking Mandelson when he was the ambassador to the United States on the panel.
Yep.
So, you know, forgive me if your faux fucking outrage about the protection of women and girls in this country isn't, you know, I'm not listening to it. You know?
Yeah, quite. Also, like, I just want to add in, when Fem Shapiro is a reference, there's a content creator who used to work for the Daily Wire, but I don't think she does anymore, called Brett Cooper, and she literally looks like you put Ben Shapiro through the fucking FaceApp filter.
Yeah, it's yassified.
It's uncanny.
Shapiro, yeah, and she looks like that woman. I wasn't just saying she looks like Ben Shapiro, and it's mostly the eyebrows anyway. To be fair, but like, yeah. She kind of does look like Brett Cooper.
Yeah, I agree.
Attackers spared jail. The boys had been convicted of rape. They'd filmed the girls' separate attacks on their phones. They'd shared the images online. But they were given youth rehabilitation orders by the judge rather than being sent to prison. The judge said he wanted to avoid criminalising them because they were so young.
How young were they?
I don't know, but how can you avoid criminalising those that have been found criminally liable for crimes?
I guess do they have to like have specifically a criminal like trial? Because maybe you know, when does culpability start? What age can you be criminally culpable?
I don't know, but like, if you've been found guilty of rape,
yeah, literally,
like that's you. What do you mean you don't want to criminalise them? They've criminalised themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
But there has been an outcry. Some politicians and many members of the public are furious that they weren't sent to prison.
Like, youth jails exist. They're a thing. They're fucking awful, by the way, and they're not remotely about... Like, I mean, to be fair, regular prisons are not about rehabilitation, but the youth of prisons especially are just horrific places. They're like the old Borstals, basically. Gross.
Apparently they were 15, which people are saying in chat, and I'm just like, I mean...
Yeah, if you're 15, you know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you do.
Yeah.
I was 15, and like, unless you have a specific issue, you know exactly what's going on there. If you're filming it as well, like, that's premeditated. Anyway.
And the case has reignited what is a controversial conversation about how young people who commit terrible crimes should be treated. But what about the victims? Well, one of the girls who was attacked and her family have agreed to share their ordeal with us today. And you'll understand why, of course, we are protecting their identity. Here's their story.
We've gone through a trial that's been 18 months long, come to an end. And quite frankly, what for? For a slap on the wrist and off you go again.
What do you feel about that? What's this week been like?
I sat in a courtroom the other day. It seems to me like the victims are the ones that are suffering, and the perpetrators are the ones that have seemingly got away scot-free. I had to bite my lip. I felt physically sick, and I was like, hold on, this has happened. It's a despicable crime, whether it's a child, an adult, anyone. And I just think the judge's message was, it's okay, you can do it. I'll just give you a slap on the wrist.
The words hit like a rock, straight in my face. He almost made it seem as if what the boys did was not okay. But it was okay in the eyes of the law because they were still children.
And what did that mean to you?
It meant that why did I sit and put myself through the pain of going to court, going through a trial, reliving everything because of evidence and watching it all happen again? It sort of gave me a sense of what's the point? Like, what was the point in putting me through that just to say that it's fine?
And yet, many people listening to you today will think you've had incredible courage in speaking up at the time about what happened to you.
It took me 6 months to say something. And essentially, the reason I said it was because I was losing it. I was spiralling. I needed help, but I didn't know how to get it. So I spoke up.
And what was it like for you then when you found out what had happened?
My world stopped. Everything stopped moving. It's very strange when you have a trauma within the family. Everyone else's life keeps moving on, except yours. Yours stops.
One of the things that happened was that the boys shared the 2 attacks online. What was that like for you?
It was hard because I'd get no caller IDs. I'd have people ringing me saying, "Ooh, you had a threesome. Ooh, you did this. Ooh, you did that. Oh my God, there's a video of you." But I'd always get these calls. They'd just tell me how much of a bad person I was because I was so disgusting for doing something at such a young age. But no one ever knew the full story.
So you were getting calls from other teenagers who you didn't know, saying what kind of things to you?
They said I was disgusting. They said I should keep to myself. They said that I was a whore. I was a slag. I was all the above.
That must have been so hard for you to hear that. What went through your mind?
I just wanted to die.
And yet you had the courage then to speak up and to share what happened in order to get justice.
I wanted justice. I wanted to prove my point, but it feels like nothing was proven.
What went through your mind as a mother, having seen your daughter have the courage to go through this process, to share a terrible experience, and then end up with that as the result?
I just can't explain as a mother how it feels to know that the people sitting in the same courtroom as you have raped your child. I can't. Nobody else can understand that.
And so what do you want to happen?
This needs to be reviewed. This needs to be re-looked at. This needs to be given justice. This needs to be given a custodial sentence. It has to be. We need to remember this was not a couple of drunken teenagers at a party having a fumble. This was premeditated. It was thought about. It was planned. And it's not just a once-off occasion. This is more than once. This is twice. They've been convicted twice of the same thing. How are they still walking around?
All I can think about is if you can do the crime, you can do the time. And I know it's a well-known saying, but it should be more thought out. It should be something that actually happens.
And there's a kind of political angle to this, I suppose, in that you do suspect that the light touch approach that has been taken in certain regards, like if Farage gets in, there's going to be an overcorrection, you feel?
Yeah, I think you're right. Not that I think that Farage wouldn't take whatever excuses that he could to be like extra authoritarian, given the scope in terms of like civil society, which has been kind of gifted to him by the Starmer administration to be able to weaponize against the public. But yeah, I think you're right that, especially given the way in which the media specifically are also trying to, roll the pitch, so to speak, to essentially impugn all ethnic minorities as being potential rapists, right? Like the way that they talk about asylum seekers, given the light touch that you've seen here would generate an overcorrection, and it's the kind of the overcorrection is what the response would be if your whole political campaign is about the perceived threat of these roving gangs of asylum seekers out there raping your daughters or whatever.
Yeah.
Because
when these were white offenders, right? Weren't they?
I have no idea. I don't know if that information has been released at this point. Has it?
Someone check on in chat if it depends, so we know if there's an ethnicity that's been released on this one.
If they were anything other than white, I think the right wing would have made us aware of it.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Petty crimes, you'll have whatever. Someone's gone to the shop and they've stolen a packet of sweets. But this is different. You're impacting someone else's life. It's always in the back of your head. Why did I do that? But it's never, you'll be better, you're stronger. It's always, you did that and you're disgusting. My brain is telling me that I'm not worth it because of what I did.
Yeah, they
and
were
it's
wise
almost as
according
if
to
it
chat.
feels like it's my fault. And sometimes I sit and think and I wonder, well,
that's why Tommy Robinson and his crew aren't rioting, I assume.
Yeah, literally. When will the white community condemn? Where are the white community leaders?
Exactly.
Etc. 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 Why can't we accept that there is a problem in white culture that makes their children do this? Etc. Etc. Cue the canards.
Can we kick all of the white people out? Can we send them all back to Whiteistan? Hunkyland? I don't know.
Differently. But you can never go back in time.
But everyone listening to you today, I think, would want me to say this was not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and you had the courage to speak up about something that happened to you. And that's an incredible act of bravery for a young person. I just wonder if do you feel that there is something kind of going wrong between teenage boys and girls more generally?
I noticed when you interviewed former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, you didn't ask whether there was anything wrong between Pincher and his victims. You didn't mention that at all with him, it would appear.
It's getting worse.
I'd also like to point out that clearly, actually, I don't know why we're paying attention to any of this. Clearly, the real threat to women is trans people going to the loo. And second of all, it's weird how we're going to the deep kind of discussions about the psychological or the social problems of how men treat women, how young boys are taught to think about women when it comes to this woman who's been raped. But when it came to the little trans girl, the trans child who got brutally fucking stabbed to death in Wigan, or Warrington, or wherever it was, yeah, it was Warrington, we started talking about fucking mobile phones.
Yeah.
As sex is becoming a bigger thing, it's if you don't do it, you're the word frigid. If you do it, you're on top of the world until you fall straight back down and get called a whore, get called a slag, get called all of this.
And how much of a role do you think social media plays in that?
It plays a big role, it really does, because one day you'll have a really good day, but you'll mess up doing something and someone will record it and then they'll post it and it'll go viral. Then once you've gone viral, there's no turning back. Once it's posted on the internet, there's no going back. It's there forever.
The Prime Minister was the chief prosecutor in the country. So what would your message be to him today?
My honest message would be sort it out. Sort it out so that boys, girls, women, men are getting justice for crimes against them.
What would you say to the Prime Minister?
Please help. If it was your daughter, your niece, your son, your nephew, your family member, would you be happy? Because we're not happy, and I don't think any other member of the public will be happy.
The implication here is that Keir Starmer has a soul, is capable of feeling the concept of emotions, which I am reticent to believe that he does.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's possible, no. Can a robot ever truly feel?
I genuinely want, if I ever met Keir Starmer, the one question I would ask him is, how do you, as such a kind of morally defective individual, scrape together the wherewithal to look your own children in the face and pretend that you're a role model to them? That's what I would ask Keir Starmer.
And he would say,
I
have the change, and I bring the change, and the change, and the change.
He would say, let me be crystal clear.
Yeah, and then lie to you.
Meep.
Yeah. Be happy too. So you're in a position of power to help. So please help.
It's weird. It really is weird, because I remember when I was younger, I was the happiest little kid you'd ever meet, and now all I can think about is being sad, being angry, stressed, tired, school, needing
and
a
also,
job, trying to pull my...
They asking Keir Starmer, you're the person in a position of power to do something. I'm like, he's not done anything in his time in office. He might have comments on the dress code in the trial, business casual, right?
Exactly. No, it's formal, isn't it? Because when they come to sentencing, they've got the full wigs on and everything. So
that's true.
Fair enough. Is the hinterland optional? I'm not sure.
My life together while I feel like it's falling apart.
What would you want other people listening to you today?
I want other people listening to me today to have a think. If it's happened to them, please.
Literally, oh my God, yeah, he would literally, if you asked him that question, he'd say, my father was a toolmaker. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me be clear.
Don't fall apart because someone else has done something bad to you. Show them that you're stronger. Show them that other people care. Show them you care about what they've done and that you can be better.
That's a really good point in chat that's been made there. So essentially, the reason why we're in this position where these boys have gotten away what is essentially scot-free with an incredibly depraved act of violence against these girls, and the way in which this sentencing has been carried out essentially hinges on the opinion of one judge who's made a bad decision and has allowed these people to get off. This is what Lammy wants more of.
Yeah, because he wants single judge trials. Yeah.
And of course, like, sentencing is always down to the judge, right? The conviction comes down to the jury and the sentencing comes down to the judge. So these things are always going to be off the person's opinions on the day. Like, that's not something I'm implying that David Lammy wants to change in terms of how sentencing works. But his whole pitch for restricting jury trials is that you can trust the opinions of judges significantly more in terms of these kinds of decisions than you can members of the public. And I'm just like, well, clearly that's not fucking true, is it?
Yeah.
Than what they are.
Thank you to all three of you for speaking to us with such courage today. We really appreciate your time and you being so honest about what's happened to you.
And there is a lot of help out there if you've been affected or worried by any of those kinds of
Also,
issues. There's a list.
What I will respond to Passion for is like a corrupt judge. I don't think this judge is corrupt. I mean, again, maybe they've been like harsh on sentences in other times, but this time they were lenient. We don't know what was going through their head. People make bad decisions all the time. We live in a complex society where bad decisions get made constantly. We can never expect people to be doing things correctly all of the time. Again, this is why I think individualizing certain problems rather than looking at the system as a kind of more broadly is, again, that's a misstep. Again, the issue that we have here is that the way our sentencing works, it comes down to the opinion of one individual who can make those mistakes rather than a broader set of consensus. Which is why we have sentencing guidelines, so judges can't make snap decisions that don't respond to the actual guidelines more frequently. There is a system in place to try and protect it. It's just not good enough in some cases, and it's about fixing those systems. Again, in the same way that having multiple jurors rather than one judge also gives you the level to which having multiple voices allows for a greater degree of tolerance around the mean of the acceptable response, right?
Yeah.
Of organisations who can offer support, and the link is there on our website, bbc.co.uk/action line. Well, the government's top legal officer, the Attorney General, is reviewing whether the sentence in this case should be appealed. But the Cabinet Minister, Darren Jones, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, joins us this morning. Thank you for coming in. This family is desperate for these sentences to be appealed. Should they?
I mean, it's a horrifying story for any parent to imagine their children in those situations is unimaginable. The legal process is that the Attorney General now reviews the decision from the court. He has 28 days to make a decision whether to refer it to the Court of Appeal. The Attorney General will make a decision quicker than that. But as a minister, what I can't do is get ahead of the Attorney General's decision. But look, as a parent and as a member of the public, you can imagine what my personal view is on the situation.
And that would be?
As a minister, I'm not allowed to get ahead of the Attorney General's decision, but those girls deserve justice, as do their families, both for them, but also for other girls that are put in that position. And quite frankly, other boys need to know that they can't behave in that way and get away with it.
You are here as a minister, but I can actually tell from listening to you as a dad, I think you found that quite hard to watch and to listen to.
It was very hard to watch because no parent wants their daughter to be in those circumstances, and you don't want to...
Oh, fucking... Oh, God. Right. I'm sure that Darren Jones's emotions around this, because he's clearly welling up, right, are legitimate. He is a person who has daughters. I'm sure he can feel compassion for other human beings in a way that, unfortunately, his boss can't. But I'm sure that's fine, right? But, again, your crocodile tears, Mr. Jones, would hold a lot more weight if you weren't running fucking protection for a man who was fine having yum-yum on his staff. You were fine with that. You've defended all of that fucking evil shit. A man who stayed in a convicted paedophile's fucking house. Not like, before he was convicted, whilst he was in fucking jail and subsequent to that. So forgive me if your raw emotion at this particular point doesn't really hold true to your pattern of behaviour in the past.
I guess it speaks his political it's his political decision making. Like when you get confronted with these things head on in terms of the emotionally charged nature of the story, it shows that clearly those emotions need to be better attuned to when you're making policy if you treat those kind of things as perfunctory when you're appointing, ambassadorial roles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I sort of don't care for your crocodile tears if you don't ever put it into practice. Like, yeah, you feel emotionally for your kids. Do you give a fuck about the kids that were the victims of Jeffrey Epstein? Clearly not.
Society in which girls are growing up in those circumstances.
Do you worry then about what the message is to the public in cases like this, that teenage boys rape?
Although it is interesting to see a politician with a genuine emotional response to anything.
I mean, we've been because we've literally been subjected to, obviously, all these years of Keir Starmer, who's literally a fucking emotionless void.
Yeah.
Just an absolute, just an entire soul, literally just totally.
But
vacant.
so was Sunak. So was May. Like we've had years and years of just these fucking cardboard humans.
I mean, that's true. I mean, they're either soulless husks in the form of like Sunak and Starmer, or they're just like totally amoral fucking like psychopaths like Boris Johnson.
Yeah. Whereas I think Darren Jones is a real boy underneath, but unfortunately he's a real boy trapped inside a briefcase.
And they are being given rehabilitation orders. They were convicted by the court, but they have been spared jail. Do you worry about the message that sends?
I do, because those young women deserve justice. But I also worry about it because boys need to know they cannot behave in that way. It is not acceptable in society. And if you do, there must be consequences for it.
That is the real point here, is that by, again, not providing the correct deterrent in these cases, it shows that it's basically de facto legal. I don't care for arguments about punitive justice. I don't care for like the visceral reaction to what has been decided by the judiciary. I don't care. I understand that sounds pretty kind of emotionless, and I understand why people are upset. But I do not believe that punitive and retributive justice is whether there's moral weight to it. What's good for society, what creates the broadest positive utility is what's important. And I believe there is positive utility in essentially telling people that no matter whether you're 15 or whether you're 50, if you engage in these acts, you are there is a very strong punishment waiting for you.
And it works sort of with both the perpetrator and the victim, of course, because it tells the victim that you're, so it tells the perpetrator that it's basically de facto legal. But it also tells victims who are already, we know, reticent to come forward because of the emotional weight of having to deal with that. It's often much easier and much more effective to just knuckle under and just deal with it. Just to not come forward about it, to not have to relive all of that, to not go through the incredible journey that all of that involves, right? As was described by the young girl in the interview, right? And because it gives you the example there that even when you go through all of that and you get a conviction, they still don't go to fucking prison. So why bother?
And this is going through all of the different layers to which the criminal justice system continually fails women of all ages, right? We literally just had a big discussion about the failure of the criminal justice system when it came to the grooming gang stuff, where white working class girls, brown working class girls, just general people from the underprivileged sectors and areas in society, were literally treated like they were whores and sluts by the very police officers whose role it is to ostensibly be in positions to be able to protect these people, and they did the opposite because the police in this country are fucking monsters.
Yep.
And having gone through all of that, having to go through all of the worries about all of the stories where you hear about how the police treat sexual assault, and then to go through that, and then also to go through the criminal justice system where convictions are so unlikely, and then you find out that actually we're sending them your conviction, the ordeal that you've gone through has not sent the message to society that these things are unacceptable. It sent the message that, whilst people will claim they will claim that it's unacceptable, the punishment isn't good enough to deter people from doing it in future.
Yeah.
But this goes to a whole...
And of course, let's not fucking forget that whilst, of course, the overcrowding problem in prisons was not caused by the Labour Party, they inherited it from Rishi Sunak's fucking illegal actions before he left office. But the way in which they dealt with that was so cack-handed that people who had been convicted and had been sentenced to a custodial sentence were released.
By accident.
Like, rapists were just released from prison because, well, there are too many people in prison. Thankfully, though, the climate change protesters in prison weren't released. That would have been terrible. What fucking menace to society those fuckers are.
Whole strategy on violence against women and girls. You know, this is a particularly difficult case, but you know from talking to women that...
Okay, and again, that would hold more weight if your minister for safeguarding women and girls hadn't resigned last week and said that you weren't doing enough. Like, I mean, yeah. Far be it from me to pray and aid fucking Jess Phillips on any matter, but she does care about this issue, and she did resign last week saying the change of pace was glacially slow.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. My opinion of Jess Phillips has weirdly increased over the last 18 months. Like, not only did she literally resign her shadow cabinet position so that she could vote for a ceasefire in Gaza, also her coming out and saying, "Look, you're fucking useless, Keith. What the fuck have you been playing at while you're in government? While I've been trying really hard to protect children, you were too busy caring about fucking dress codes." In meetings, right? Or words to that effect.
Well, exactly. But to be fair, my opinion of Jess Phillips was so low that an increase in that opinion is not difficult.
Yeah, like a previously subterranean opinion has now seen the glimpse of daylight.
Yeah.
They suffer violence, abuse in a way that is totally unacceptable. And we do know that there are impacts from social media and online pornography, and the way in which boys are... not all boys.
We wouldn't know. You've made accessing online pornography impossible. So we don't even know anymore.
Well, the irony, of course, is that people can still view... The kids can still view porn because they're tech-savvy enough to be able to get round the Online Safety Act, just use a VPN and log in with a different fucking thing.
Yeah.
And the reality is that it's just leaving, angry boomers unable to access the things that they previously did.
Yeah.
Like the cider Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. r/cider. That's so mental that was on the list of things.
Well, that's what happens when you let Nadine Dorries write legislation.
True. Because she was like, fuck cider, I'm all about the gin. Let's go.
They're interacting with this content and thinking that it's okay to behave in certain ways. And I don't want to generalise here and say that all boys are violent or that all boys don't care about young women. Of course, that's not the case. But there are too many incidences of this. And it's, I think, important for all of us as parents, as political leaders, but as society to make sure that we're having a national conversation about how we should behave and conduct ourselves in this country.
One of your colleagues, Jess Phillips,
also,
who until...
A very good point from Tom Tom in chat pointing out that it's all well and good to cry about, to be upset publicly about what's happening here. Your government literally trains soldiers from the IDF who've just been exposed as systematically using rape as a weapon of war against Palestinian detainees. These are the people that we fucking train.
Yeah, well, exactly, yes, yeah. Again, their record when it comes to the protection of, well, humans is bad.
10 days ago, I think, was the minister for all of this, someone who's campaigned her whole life for safety for women and girls. When she resigned, she said publicly, she told us last week that she was dismayed and frustrated by how slow the government had been on these kinds of...
It's almost like they didn't have a plan for anything.
Elected to lead, not to read.
Yeah.
Issues. She said that, Keir Starmer, and I'm paraphrasing, had essentially dragged his feet on some of these issues.
No, he didn't even drag his feet. He just didn't bother.
Yeah.
He didn't bother. He literally he was too busy swanning around, having getting photo ops meetings in fucking Doha with foreign dignitaries, right? Playing Billy Big Bollocks in the Middle East. That he didn't actually bother caring about his role as the guy who's supposed to be the inspiration for fucking legislation domestically. You know, like he's just fucking absent, totally fucking absent. That was the whole point that she was making. Again, because he's literally, he doesn't care about policy or politics.
Yep.
I wouldn't say that about the Prime Minister. He's someone that's as committed to this issue as everybody
You're
else.
literally the chief secretary to the Prime Minister. You're literally chief secretary to the Prime Minister. Like, it is literally your job to help him make these decisions, and he's been shit at it.
Yeah. Again, that's what I mean. A man who works hand in glove with the Prime Minister, who has, like you say, continued the support for Israel and its army of rape. I'm sorry, your faux tears mean nothing for me.
This government literally moved heaven on earth to bring a fucking gaggle of football hooligans to this country who literally have a song called the Rape Song.
Yep. That's a thing they wanted. So, you know, again, forgive me if I don't really take him very seriously on this.
Well, I take him seriously, but I think that he genuinely is upset by this story because it's close to home. But the problem, of course, is that this level of emotional weight to the things that you do has to be in every part of your governance, not just when you're getting interviewed about it on BBC One, right? Again, it's the fact that when these things get brought up in outside of this realm, they treat it like it's perfunctory, when it shouldn't be. You should govern with some level of emotional fucking connection to the laws that you pass and the way that you govern.
Yeah.
For a very long time, including as the chief prosecutor. But
actions as Prime Minister is different
Oh,
to
yeah, sorry,
saying,
by the way,
I kept not questioning.
Yeah, someone in chat is questioning the existence of the Rape Song. Yeah, so if you Google, Adam, if you Google Maccabi Tel Aviv, the Rape Song, it literally, on their fan website, they have all the lyrics written down, and you can Google videos of them singing the Rape Song at the football matches that they go to.
It's specifically about their cross-city rivals, Hapoel Tel Aviv, who they sing about murdering their men and raping their women.
Saying that for essentially saying that they're like the dogs for the Arabs or something.
Yeah, they refer to them as the dog for the Arab and as communists.
I mean, they are communists.
Some of them are communists, to be fair. Yeah.
I mean, they originally were a communist, like a Marxist team, but of course, just the left wing in Israel doesn't really exist anymore.
No.
Whether he cares about it, but one of your own colleagues said on the record to us last week, action in this area has just been...
Hey, hello, a couple of Burks. Everyone go and follow a couple of Burks.
...too slow. And, you know, time and again, for years, I've heard politicians say we must do more, we must go faster. Yeah. And yet it appears that government is still thinking about it, saying it's important, saying it's terrible, but thinking about...
Well, no, the government isn't thinking about it. The government is thinking of ways to obfuscate it. It's thinking of ways to get positive headlines whilst doing nothing practically about it. As with all areas of policy, it would appear.
About it rather than taking more bold action.
Look, I have a great deal of sympathy for Jess Phillips and her view. Given the challenges that we're facing, she is right to say that progress isn't being made quickly enough. Absolutely agree with her on that. That, though, is not as a consequence of the government not seeing it as a priority. It's just that in the middle of needing to deal with...
I mean, maybe the government, but certainly when it comes to Keir fucking Starmer, again, he's too busy playing Billy Big Bollocks on the international stage to care about governance. Every single report on how he has governed shows he literally doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. And if it were a priority, you'd have done anything about it at this point. And you haven't.
You're too busy too busy. Again, the other person who's really kind of in the spotlight here is their Minister for Women and Equalities, Bridget Phillipson. And again, she's been too busy kind of occupying herself with policing where people can and can't shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is literally the same thing Kemi Badenoch did, by the way, when she could have been tackling the crimes of the grooming gangs, when she could have been talking about the endemic nature of violence against women and girls. Nope, too busy caring about where people shit.
Too busy rowing with David Tennant.
Yep.
Legislation and getting it through the House, how you collaborate with international technology companies, how you can get money.
Well, how you get it through the House is by doing anything in terms of communication with your own backbenchers.
Which is another thing Keir Starmer refuses to fucking do because he's busy playing Billy Big Bollocks.
Yeah, literally, there are still members of his own party that have never met him. They don't know him. He doesn't know them.
I mean, people are talking in chat. There's a porn conversation that's come up in chat. What fucking makes me very angry, right? As somebody who I didn't think porn is necessarily a problem. But basically, in the way that the payment processors and stuff like that have taken over to try and block certain websites from doing certain things, and the way in which the sites that people would usually go to watch, like the mainstream produced, kind of porn which has a lot of misogyny involved in it, those are the people who are not going to be what's the word I'm looking for, fastidious enough to adhere with the Online Safety Act and the necessity of age verification to be able to block people from seeing it, and the actual legitimate channels which have given sex workers more control over their own income and has created, I think, probably a far more healthy relationship with pornography. Places like OnlyFans and Fansly and all that kind of malarkey. Those are the places they're getting hit by this stuff, not the free porn sites where people go and it suggests some of the stuff that I think is really societally toxic. And it's more likely to have people who've been victims of trafficking involved in it as well.
Services in local communities to help people as we are. These things do take time.
They drop down the list then?
No, they don't drop down the list. All I mean is that, take for example, we're putting £20 million extra money into procuring community support services. It inevitably takes time to procure those services, to have the right people in the place to help.
But you there talk about
£20 million. That's a priority for the government, is it? £20 million. I mean, the government could fart away £20 million. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's all they're prepared to put into it. You people are fucking scum.
Companies.
Yep.
And we know, for example, that the government has been consulting on whether or not to ban social media for under 16s, or, how to deal with all the dilemmas around that area.
Because, again, why bother having a policy on anything? Just outsource it to a private company, the public, a quango, some bloke down the pub called Dave. Who fucking cares? As long as government can't be held
from the Blairite administration.
Exactly. Yeah, bring in fucking Gordon Brown and fucking what's her face?
Alan Milburn.
And all the Harriet Harman. Yeah, just as long as Keir Starmer doesn't have to be held responsible for taking any decision ever.
So of course that would never happen because he never takes any decision.
True.
Area. The consultation now closes this week. Are you actually going to move forward and ban social media for under 16s? I think people would really want to know what your view is. Mm-hmm. Should it happen or not?
So the government's consulting, as you say. The consultation shuts on Tuesday, so people can still contribute to it. One of the things we've done differently this time, though, because of the need to move quickly, is we've legislated in advance of the end of the consultation to give us the powers to enact the decisions we make, as opposed to waiting another year for legislation to go through Parliament. There is no question that we need to go further in regulating social media platforms and the harm that they can cause to young people in particular.
But Ofcom said this week that some of the platforms still weren't safe. I mean, they're the people who are meant to look at it. Do you agree that some of the platforms still aren't safe?
Well, Ofcom's the regulator, so if that's their view, I accept it. But we do need to go further with more laws.
Let's talk about the other side of this, though, sentencing. Now, there's been a debate for a lot of years about what the right thing is to do when you have young people who commit terrible crimes. But the government's plans, the Youth Justice White Paper, suggests we should be sending fewer people into custody. But when you look at a case like this, where's the balance between the rights of victims?
Come on, Laura. Like, the implication that we should be giving out fewer custodial sentences, I don't think anyone was writing that White Paper thought people who film their rapes at knife point should be included in that number. Like, come on, engage brain, Laura, what little of it that you have. Because I think I think most people agree we dole out too many custodial sentences, especially for doing things like, I don't know, saying the sentence, I support Palestine action, I oppose genocide. Obviously, I don't. I'm just saying that that's a sentence someone might say to be able to get a custodial sentence. Up to 14 years in prison, by the way, people can get for that. Yeah, again, person who films for like knife point rapes. Like,
yeah.
Cool.
Indeed. But to be fair, I think she is engaging her brain, because what she's doing is propaganda for her position. Which is, these progressives are all fucking crazy and we need to lock more people up.
Of perpetrators.
Yeah, look, you have to have a range of interventions for a range of crimes. I mean, this is clearly an egregious crime. I totally
Hello, left of the box. Everyone go and follow left of the box.
recognise what the parent was saying in that video. This was evidently premeditated, planned, and then distributed on social media. I mean, that is a level of intent around criminality that would require the highest levels of intervention.
But what the Conservatives were saying, what the local police commissioner in this area is saying is your proposals to have, as a matter of principle, to send fewer young people to custody means inevitably that more young people who commit serious crimes will end up being spared.
No, it doesn't at all. It's reserving it for people who commit the most serious crimes.
I can't believe the fucking I fucking hate the Tories is fucking the lowest of literally fucking subhuman. The Tories are to weaponize this stuff again, deliberately to mislead it, and then essentially go, the Labour Party want to not lock up rapists, and I'm just like, I don't like the Labour Party at the best of times, but deliberately fucking obfuscating the reality of what these papers are saying. Yeah, fuck these, fuck the Tories, fuck them. They're such monsters.
Yeah. I'm surprised the Tories would even use that line, because if they locked up all the rapists, they wouldn't have any MPs left.
True.
Prison, and we'll end up
with... Reform wouldn't have any MPs left. Same thing.
More victims thinking that they haven't had the kind of justice they deserve.
Again, I think it depends on the nature of the crime. So these types of egregious sexual assault, you would want to be in those circumstances.
But is it right in principle to send fewer young offenders into custody?
If there are young offenders who are offending because of difficult family backgrounds or homelessness or not having parents around where they need support to rehabilitate themselves, I think the public would say you should put that intervention in place in that way, because ultimately, if it's someone's bad choices in early years that they can change their approach to and then have a meaningful flourish.
Also, just on a kind of, I don't know, an optical level or whatever, does it not suggest that our prison system might be a little bit broken when we have to create a new thing called a rehabilitation order? Because isn't prison supposed to be that?
Yeah, well, I will go. Not that you'd think it was, given the conversation we've been having for the last hour.
Like, yeah, maybe prisons aren't rehabilitating people, and we need to take a different approach to things.
Flourishing life in the future, then that would be a good outcome of the criminal justice system.
And I want to ask you about other things, but just before we move on, I noted you said the Attorney General will make a decision more quickly than in the 28 days. It sounds like you're actually looking at this very urgently. Could the families expect something very soon?
Well, they are looking at it because it's in the newspapers, so they have to pretend to care.
Yeah, there needs to be a. They're making a decision even quicker if ITV did a
the documentary
drama.
Yeah. Get Toby
Dramatisation,
Jones in. Is it Toby Jones, the little actor man? What's his name?
I don't know.
From The Detectorist. That's a fucking good show, by the way.
I don't know. We're not seeing it.
We all want to look at this urgently, and the Attorney General's made that commitment.
Okay. Let's then talk about a different issue, young people and work. Now, we will hear later in the programme from your job czar, Alan Milburn, a former Labour minister.
Yeah, Toby Jones.
He's told us it's shameful that nearly 1 million young people are not in work or education, and he's demanding a complete reset of the system. Is he wrong that we should be ashamed of this problem?
No, and I agree with him. No young person wants to be out of school, out of college, out of work and at home with mum and dad. They want to be getting their lives set up. They want to have hope for them.
Honestly, I think people will look back at the way in which governments of the later 20th and early 21st centuries dealt with their youth and see that these a series of governments that have totally abandoned their young people.
Whoa. I think you mean abandoning the pensioners for means testing the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah, I mean, the young people of Britain have been fucking betrayed.
I mean, all across
Thatcher
Europe,
onwards.
all across Europe, there's this huge problem of young people being betrayed, and again, in service of the huge generation that have been politically relevant that they've had to pander to win elections, basically. And this has happened across Europe. Again, especially given the fact that the kind of generations that are coming of age now were the ones who had their future stolen from them from the aggressive austerity programs that happened in the wake of 2008, again, across Europe. There's a reason why the youth unemployment crisis is not as bad in America as ever here, because they just didn't do the stupid austerity.
Neoliberalism killed the advance of so let's say the Western world, in that for 200 years every generation has grown up pretty much understanding and certainly receiving a better life than the previous generation. And Thatcherism, Reaganism, whatever you want to call it, neoliberalism, killed that. Completely stone dead. To the point now where we have such a malnourished people that our younger generations are physically shorter. Again, reversing 200 years, actually 500 years of human growth. Just let that sink in about how fucking evil a system that has to be. In the land of plenty, we have shorter people because of lack of nourishment.
Yep. Right. Love this country. Well, there's a reason why I literally just... People ask me, like, oh, well, what were you? Who was your greatest political inspiration? And I'm like, oh, well, it's this socialist, this communist. I'm like, oh, my greatest political inspiration is George Osborne, because he inspired me to never, ever, ever stop making sure that him and his ilk never, ever become politically powerful ever again.
Yeah. Hatred is a powerful thing.
Yep.
And quite frankly, as a country, we need them to want to have that, because we're only going to become richer as a country in the future, which is the big question we've got to try to answer.
Also, don't clip her out of context saying that George Osborne is a political inspiration. That would be very unfair, but also very fun.
If we have people in work and doing well.
But the government is currently, by Alan Milburn's calculations, spending 25 times as much money on benefits for young people than they are on employment support. And he's urged Labour to get on with welfare reform. And as things stand, there's...
I am so fucking sick of people doing this. I'm so fucking sick of statistics being brought up. Statistics? I'm so sick of people bringing up statistics, comparing them to totally unrelated statistics, and then implying that it's some kind of scandal. So they did it for ages when they were talking about the number of people per day who are new benefit claimants, when, first of all, it masked the fact that lots of this is just churn anyway, and second of all, because they were also migrating over legacy benefits, so it made it sound like there was this epidemic of new benefit claimants, when really it was just churn from older people dying and younger people starting to claim benefits as they came of age, you know. Yeah. And what they're doing here is essentially going, well, we spend 25 times as much on the entire welfare budget for young people out of work as we do for like jobs programs for them. Like, yeah, well, of course we do. Of course we do. Like, in the same way that we spend more on salaries for nurses in the NHS than we do on procurement for paracetamol, right? Because of course you need paracetamol to be able to do this. You need, you know, pharmaceuticals in the NHS. But turns out, right, paying for the entirety of people's livelihoods is cumulatively more expensive than buying the tools necessary with which that they can do their jobs.
Yeah. Did you know that we spend more per year on defence than we do on silly walks?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, well, even then, people with the welfare, they said we spend 10 times as much on welfare as we do on defence. I'm like, yeah, good. We should be doing so. Like, these things require different levels of provision.
Yeah.
Trying to compare apples to oranges in terms of this level of state expenditure, and I'm just like, you have not in any way provided as to why that's a bad thing. You've just said, "Ooh, scary big number," and I'm just like, yeah, because you're only going to be employing a certain number of people to do these jobs training programs. Yet every single individual who's on welfare has to have their entirety of what is necessary to be able to sustain life provided for them by the state.
Yeah, literally. One number is bigger than other number. It's not really an argument for anything.
It's fucking stupid. And it's deliberately being done, again, by one of the stalwarts of the NHS privatisation scheme from the Blair administration, Alan Milburn, deliberately, as a way of essentially trying to manufacture consent for the gutting of the welfare state.
Yeah, exactly. Tory gobshite wants smaller benefits. Okay.
He literally said to the BBC, like, we're Labour, we're the party of work. Work is good, it's good for you. And they literally, oh yeah, it sets you free, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Alan?
Yeah, it does.
There's no bill to shake up the welfare system in the King's Speech, the programme for government that was outlined. So where's your urgency on that?
Yeah, Milburn, another trot who became a reactionary. It is a bit of a it's a bit of a thing.
The original Paul Mason.
A well-trodden path.
Quite so. Well, the thing is, thing is, the question, even the question here from Laura Koonsberg makes me want to fucking go full Sudoku. She's going, I can't believe you've not had any provisions on solving welfare, no bills in the King's Speech about fixing the welfare state, because we all know that it's broken. Do we? Do we all know that it's broken? Do we all? Is this such a matter of urgency because of any empirical data on this? Because it's just undeniable? Or is this not an ideological position that the right-wing press and indeed the public broadcaster have taken to try and manufacture consent for the public for slashing of the welfare state?
Yeah.
Again, it's being presented as though it is being taken as read, when I would dispute that fact, and many other people like myself would also dispute that fact.
There's already things that have been put into place. So the Youth Guarantee Scheme, where we guarantee work for young people coming out of training.
He's calling for something much bigger.
No, and I agree with him. We have to. All I'm saying is that it's not like we've stopped acting on welfare reform. We are continuing to do it now.
But further proposals were not in the King's Speech. And if something doesn't get into the King's Speech, the chances of there being bold, radical action, new laws coming forward are pretty slim.
But the important thing is when you're writing a new piece of legislation, you need to know what you're writing on the page, and that's why this review is important to come first, so that government can develop policy and then legislate. But whilst we're doing that, it's important that we make progress anyway in helping young people get into work, which is why I say on the Youth Guarantee Scheme, on technical colleges, on apprenticeships, we're putting in measures to make that happen.
And we talked to Pat McFadden, the Welfare Secretary, about that a couple of months ago. One of the other things, though, which is looming in the background of all of this, is that anyone in politics right now, anyone watching right now, is not sure whether the Prime Minister is still going to be around to enact whatever plans you decide to do.
I did read what Alan Milburn said to Laura Koonsberg, and she is literally presenting it more right-wing than he'd said it. Because at the very least, and I hate to give Alan Milburn credit, but he's right, he did point to the fact that some of the worklessness and the lack of engagement amongst young people is caused by a level of despair with the future, the response to COVID lockdowns, and the problems of like mental health from social media. He said the mental health problems were real, which is to the left of fucking West Streeting, if you can imagine such a thing.
Yeah.
Like, so the reality is that he pointed out here is that we want to spend more on helping people into work because we believe that there's a mental health crisis and a joblessness crisis that isn't the problems necessarily of the welfare state being too generous. I do think that he thinks that it's too generous, but the conclusions that he came to doesn't necessarily imply that in every case. And she's implying that it is. She's essentially saying you need to cut welfare, it's your fault, rather than talking about the whole mental health crisis that he, to his credit, correctly identified.
Yeah.
Do you want Keir Starmer to stay as leader of the Labour Party?
I do want the Prime Minister to...
Yeah, he's Keir Starmer's cocksock. Of course he wants him to fucking stay. What do you mean? What kind of question is that? What, you expect him to come out and say, nah, fuck him, he's a wanker? What a waste of time Laura Koonsberg is.
To stay and to get on with the job, because look, there's a lot of fancy politics going on right now inside the Labour Party. It's
fantasy.
Well, in terms of who's up and who's down and who would be in what position.
Well, hang on, there's someone who wants his job running in a by-election. That's not a fantasy. That's the real situation.
Okay, you have misunderstood his use of the word fantasy. He doesn't mean fantasy as in you make it up. He means it like fantasy football, like the idea of a statistical analysis of who is up and who is down.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, there's so much wrong with her journalism that even pulling her up on that seems like a waste of time.
Labour Party's got itself into.
Sure, but my point is that irrespective of individual ambition from any of my colleagues, the big questions the country faces are still the big questions the country faces. There's no magic answer to any of them, because if there was, we would have implemented it. So this issue on youth unemployment, getting them into work and doing well, Do
you not think that Keir Starmer would have been spent too much time worrying about the dress code rather than implementing the easy solutions?
Yeah, a little bit.
The economy growing. Britain is poorer and weaker than it needs to be. It needs to be richer and stronger in a whole host of ways. And that's the question we've got to try to answer.
Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, is running in the Makerfield election because he thinks he's got better answers than Keir Starmer.
Does he? Because he doesn't seem to have different answers, let alone better ones.
If people want Keir Starmer to continue in Downing Street, as you do, should they vote Reform in Makerfield?
No, I want Labour to win, and I'm going to go campaign for Andy in Makerfield.
I mean, I think I don't know whether it was you who said this, but I think I heard it from somebody who said that I think it was you. It was when we were watching Question Time, saying that Andy Burnham's slogan should be "Vote Reform, Keep Starmer."
Yeah, basically, that's exactly what it should be.
love
There's no reason to vote for Labour except to get rid of the Labour Party leader.
I love how Keir Starmer has confirmed that he would be campaigning for Andy Burnham in Makerfield. I'm like, yeah, because he wants him to lose.
Yeah, exactly. The best thing Keith can do is spend the next month in Wigan.
Literally just being like conjoined to Andy Burnham. Make sure everyone knows that him and Andy Burnham are fucking besties.
Yeah, just put out a flyer, with him and Andy Burnham like on holiday on the beach together. And then he's just absolutely not a threat to Keir Starmer anymore because the Reform Party will win with a fucking landslide.
Build. And by the way, Andy is a friend and colleague of mine, and he's a brilliant politician. I'm not being...
Which, by the way, I'm absolutely convinced, by the way, that Wes Streeting bringing up the EU apropos of absolutely nothing was precisely to try and scupper Andy Burnham in...
Literally just a total rat fuck. Also very funny for Darren Jones to say, well, I like Andy Burnham, he's a friend as well as a colleague. And I'm like, I wonder if there's anybody else who's close to you who's referred to people as a friend and as a colleague totally fucking erroneously.
Being critical of Andy in the slightest here. All I'm saying is that whilst we're having a debate inside the Labour Party, which quite frankly has to happen after the back of bad local election results, what we mustn't do is get distracted by our primary focus on the country. As the Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, country first, party second. So I'm...
Yeah, and that was another one of his lies.
It's just the big... that might be the biggest one. I think that might quite literally be the biggest one, because it's the basic priority of who you're governing for, and the fact that it's not even like party over country, it's faction over party over country, or Morgan over Keith over faction over party over country.
Yeah, that is the human centipede. Yeah.
I'm all up for having a debate inside the Labour Party about how we improve our electoral performance in the years ahead, because we don't want to hand the country to
and
reform.
If Labour activists are on the doorstep saying vote...
I mean, you say that, you don't want to hand it over to Reform, but the Reform Party are just a Conservative party, basically, and you have forced your local campaigning groups to not do deals with the Green Party, meaning that some of them on local councils have had to cut deals with the Tories.
Yeah.
So when you voted for the change to get rid of the Tories, no, you didn't. I can't believe that Baldrick lied to us.
I saw someone on Twitter going, "Oh, you have to stop Reform, otherwise they're going to implement transphobic legislation and cut the welfare state immediately." I'm like, literally two things the Labour Party have already deliberately done.
Yeah.
I just.
No, you got the order wrong. It's Israel first, then McSweeney, then Starmer, then faction, then party, then country.
Yeah.
Fact.
Burnham to get rid of Starmer. Are they wrong to say that?
But they're not going to be doing that. They're going to be saying vote Labour
to
have Andy Burnham as your Member of Parliament in Makerfield.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what you'll be saying in front of the press, but I guarantee you his people on the doorstep will be saying vote Andy Burnham to get rid of Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Because that's what the best pitch they have. They can't say vote Labour because the Labour government are good.
Well, they didn't even, when they thought they might win a by-election in Gorton and Denton, they didn't even bother trying to talk about the good things they were doing.
Yeah, literally.
It's Darren Jones, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. Thank you very much indeed for coming in and speaking to us this morning. Well, we heard what the Minister thought of our interview with that family. We do want to know what you think, as ever. You can share your views. Email us, koonsberg@bbc.co.uk.
Why not share with us your demented, totally misinformed opinions about this really, really sensitive case? Members of the public, please do share with us your thoughts. We're desperate to hear them. Not.
A person, you can use the hashtag.
Yeah, like, I don't want to hear the opinions of the British public in general, because they're, like you say, ill-informed, demented nonsense. Especially about this.
Yep.
No, thank you.
Tag BBC Laura Kay. And remember, you might see some of your comments pop up in our newsletter, which can miraculously land in your inbox every Thursday afternoon. Let's then see how our panel react.
Will magically appear. You're going to email people. Magically appear in your inbox. I mean, I realise she's like talking to boomers, I guess, but like, it's a fucking email. Calm down.
The newfangled email system.
A wizard will deliver your parchment to your inbox.
To Darren Jones's views there, Dame Rachel, it's not often you see a politician really welling up.
Yeah, and I think because
it's not real. You see a politician that's a fucking human being, at all, on any level whatsoever.
Because this is such a shocking, awful example. And I mean, just to say, my heart absolutely goes out to these two young girls, and my office will be in touch.
Okay, thank. I thought you was going to say my heart goes out to Darren Jones. I was going to lose. I was literally about to have a fucking heart attack. Okay, no, okay. She said the right thing. Okay, that's fine.
And we will be supporting them. This review must happen. Some of the features, although I don't know the details, like the use of posting on social media, the use of a knife, suggest a very, very serious crime. And I don't want any young girl in this country to feel that can happen and not be addressed properly.
So, as the Children's Commissioner for England, you're saying officially you would support the family to appeal.
We will be
the
reaching
sentence.
out to support. I'm deeply concerned.
Vicky, where do you think the balance is here? Because it's not straightforward for any government. You know, there's so many cases over the years where there's been a really sort of vigorous debate about what to do when young people commit crimes. How do they get the balance right?
It's really, really difficult. And first thing to say, echoing Rachel, you know, my heart goes out to those girls. What they've been through is horrendous. But this is not as straightforward as lock them up and it will all be fine. I think reoffending rates for people who go to youth offender institutes are about 2/3. So this idea that would solve the problem is for the birds. It's really clear that we need to have a huge conversation about consent in this country at all levels. I do not think that conversation is being...
And to restructure the way in which we do punitive justice in the first place.
Yep.
Because it doesn't work. And having private companies run these fucking prisons when it's not in their interest to rehabilitate people, it's in their interest to do the exact opposite, isn't helping. And again, fucking reoffending rates on that level, another privatisation success story.
Openly as it needs to, and social media plays a huge role in all of this, and we're not addressing that either.
James, what did you make of how the minister responded to it?
Well, I could feel his emotion, and I shared it. I thought it was really shocking, and the testimony of the family was very powerful. And it feels to me that justice has not been served. I mean, we have a justice system that's meant to deliver justice, but it hasn't here. I don't believe.
Wow.
He wasn't able to go the full...
Whoa, how perceptive.
Yeah, no, he's really adding to the conversation here.
The greatest mind of his generation.
Yeah.
But
we did a school check before we got going. This guy, Oxford and Harvard.
Brilliant.
I'd ask for my money back, mate, if I were you.
I'm amazed that people convicted of rape can walk free from a British court, frankly.
Well, you have not been watching then, you dumb cunt. Because it happens all the fucking time. Like, when you say, oh, well, where's the balance? The balance is massively in favour of the fucking rapist. And has been since forever.
You barely get these things to court in the first place. And when they do get to court, it doesn't... The conviction rate is low. And then even when they do get convicted, not only is it terrible in terms of being able to rehabilitate people, there's also not enough of a deterrent because people don't get a big enough punishment.
Yeah.
And that troubles me deeply. So I think this will need to be reviewed, absolutely.
And yet, Rachel, this is not straightforward, is it? The judge was responding to guidelines which say that the welfare of the children who are perpetrators also has to be concerned. It has to be looked at very, very carefully.
And I think, look, the judge probably is aware of what the situation is like in our youth prisons. Feltham Youth Prison is the most violent prison in the UK. I've got powers of entry. I've spoken to every child in youth prison. I talk to them. I know what it's like in there. There are keeper parts. There is violence. The education is not where it should be. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean, though, and there are only 450 children in prison, and you are only in prison now, and that's been coming down over the past 5 or 6 years. You are only in prison for the most heinous crimes. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a custodial or secure sentence for these boys who did this. What it means is we need to sort out youth prisons. I've been all around the world, Canada, Australia, even in LA, the youth prisons were better.
I've been all around the world to white people places. Okay. It's very international opinion, and what they mean is Europe.
Yeah, and Europe, Australia, and Japan.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Felt better than ours, even in LA, which are meant to be the worst.
And why is that? Is that because rehabilitation just doesn't work? They've got the wrong programs, or is it because they don't have enough resources, or what's the issue?
I ask every boy in prison.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Privatisation, underfunding, lack of giving a fuck because these people don't provide free Arsenal tickets.
Yep.
And I've done it. When were you last happy at school? And they say to me, 10. And I say, right, you're going to be out at 25. You've murdered someone or whatever. You're going to be out at 25, 30. What is the solution? And they say to me, education, and I've got to find a way to get a job. I think, and Jake Richardson's actually, the minister's asked me to do this, I think we need a really good look at education and rehabilitation in prison alongside, you know, the tough stuff. They shouldn't be out of control places. They should be places, secure places where we can try to they can pay their debt to society for what they've done, like to this young girl, but also be rehabilitated and get an education and a trade and help back into life so that we're not here for the whole lifelong. And our current YOI estate is Dickensian. It's like walking into adult prison. People would not believe it. So we need more education, better education. I have some plans. I'll be sharing those. And it's...
Well, don't bother writing them down because the Prime Minister won't read them. No point.
Yeah.
You have to tell him at half-time in the corporate box at the Emirates Stadium.
Actually a stain on our country that we have this situation. We need to sort it out.
OK, well, let's talk then about a different aspect for young people.
Also,
you were raising then problems.
Like, she is right that it's a stain that we're in this position. And we really do have to go back to fucking Rishi Sunak. When he was being told, this is alleged that he was being told by his own Justice Secretary Alex Chalk, the prison system is totally fucked. There will be an investigation. We will have found to have fucked it ourselves. And Rishi Sunak, rather than fixing it, said, "Fuck it, call an election, leave it for somebody else." What a cunt.
Yeah, absolutely, he should be in jail. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have any places in jail because there are too many Palestine Action people, obviously.
Yep.
Far too many 70-year-old pastors that are against genocide that need to be locked up.
In the education system, and somebody this week has said it is a shameful scandal that nearly 1 million young people don't have jobs or training places, nor are they at school or university. The distinctly unattractive acronym NEETS describes 16 to 24-year-olds not in education employment.
Is that unattractive? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Or training. And the government's asked the former minister, Alan Milburn, to try and work out what's going so wrong. He says we should all be ashamed as a country, and Darren Jones, the cabinet minister, agreed with that a few minutes ago, that we've let the situation slide for so long. Milburn spent the last few months talking to hundreds of people around the country about what's happening and what might help. I went along to one of those meetings.
Hang on, Milburn has talked to hundreds of people. In a nation of 70 million people.
Bulletproof.
I'm sure he will definitely have all of the answers then.
On Friday, before Milburn's report is published in the next few days.
I thought these were sweets and I was just about to eat them. So I'm Alan Milburn. I've been asked by the government to look at what we can do to help almost 1 million young people who are not in education, employment and training.
The entirety of the government's fucking... their inventory, like their human inventory, is entirely full of fucking like washed up their rights from. It's just They don't know anything about what they're doing. It's just going to bring back someone from the Blair administration, which is ironically what the party is doing in terms of the Prime Minister as well.
Yeah, basically, yeah, they've just gone. At least the Blair people actually did govern.
Yeah.
Let's just do that again. 30 years later. Fucking hell.
How many applications do you think you've done for jobs?
200 to 300.
200 to 300?
Yeah, and hearing back probably around 10 in over like a year. That's it.
Either I get ignored or just like immediate rejection.
It's a very common pattern.
Yeah.
You know, when I talk to young people all over the country, it's very similar. People are putting in dozens, sometimes hundreds of applications. Hear nothing.
Yeah. I wasn't sure like how to build up my CV, how to best present myself, and it's just like a guessing game, honestly.
One of the recurring themes is employers say that the young people who are coming into or applying to be in the workplace aren't work ready.
They just say you need a CV,
right,
but they never specify how it should look like, how to make it stand out.
The way school
Also, people
has
having their like
structured
jobs
us
rejected by AI and shit like that.
Yeah, that is also a thing.
Yeah.
to just, you know, be in line, do as you're told, and when you now come into the real world, it's nothing like that. Then now leaving school and then you get thrown into the deep end. It's like, who's gonna save me? Because I can't swim.
With recent technology and AI, have kind of taken away the low barrier entry jobs, such as being a cashier and stuff like that, since, you know, every store has self-checkouts now. So there's been a lot of jobs that were, back then you could easily get out of school and get a part-time job. But right now it's really hard to do that because the low barrier entry jobs are like, they don't really exist anymore for us.
I should come and talk to you guys in the first place. Would have been so much easier than writing 200 pages of dense text. But anyway, there we are. There's a fear about the next generation. So when you talk to parents, grandparents, everybody is worried about the future prospects of their children and what is going to happen to them, whether that's social media.
And then they vote reform.
Literally, I again, just nothing makes me more angry. Nothing makes me more genuinely angry than the full concern about the futures of young people that a bunch of the political media class are like feigning.
Yeah.
At the moment, that it's been happening for the last like 2 years, really. They're just going, think about the future of the young people. What world are we gifting them? And like, we fucking told you.
Yep.
There was a political party, there was a politician, there was a political movement where young people were more politically energized than ever. We saw one of the highest turnout elections in decades in 2017 because young people went out to vote. And the response to an upsurge in young people being politically active was total dismissal of all of our concerns, all of our political positions, all of the things that we were asking for in that general election. We were deliberately shut out and denied access to a political voice for so long that we created one of our own, and then we were told, no, it's not allowed. You're stupid, you're student politics, you're etc, etc, etc. And now they're wringing their hands going, oh, but the young people are so disenfranchised from society. I'm like, motherfucker, that's you. You're wearing the hot dog suit. Everyone can see it. I don't believe it for 1 second. And then, of course, when they do try and feign concern, they go, and you know what we need to solve these young people? More crackdowns, more welfare cuts, and more claims that it's the young people that are the problem rather than the political system that has systematically excluded young people from the political process for so long, deliberately to maintain political power by pandering to the giant demographic of people who got fabulously wealthy as a generation in the bull market in the run-up to 2008 and who then left the can for the rest of us having voted Thatcher into government for fucking 3 consecutive terms.
Well, I mean, look, you say politically engaged young people, all I hear is fleas.
Literally, or anti-Semites or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The AI, the mental health crisis, living through the pandemic, and now the shortage of job opportunities, people leaving university, not being able to get a graduate entry job. And if you like, the old contract in society was that each generation would do better than the last. So this is the first generation where that contract is being broken.
And is it something we should be ashamed?
Do you think that's anything to do with you and your politics, Mr. Milburn? Considering you were in the government that created this world? No, he's not part of the problem. He's definitely part of the solution.
And it's really worth pointing out how brazen it is for Alan Milburn to say this when he was literally one of the chief architects of PFIs, which are quite literally a policy deliberately designed to buy votes at the time, i.e. buy votes from boomers and Gen Xers in the 2000s by looking how good the NHS is, all this extra funding that it's got, at the expense of votes later, where we are now to pay down the extortionate debt on those PFIs.
Yeah.
20 years later. Like, he is literally the architect of the buy now, pay later political kind of paradigm of privatization and PFIs within the NHS that, again, bought the votes of our parents' generations at the expense of the economy for us right now. What a massive, massive hypocrite.
Yep.
Off as a country.
Completely. This is really shameful. I mean, it's one thing to be ignorant, it's another thing to be neglectful. And we as a society and we in politics have been neglectful of what is frankly a...
No, not even neglectful. Actively contemptuous and damaging to.
Yeah. Dismissive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scandal. And it's a scandal that we can't afford.
But there's always been an element to which young people have struggled to get into the workforce. It's been tricky to get your first job. It's often been, well, maybe you weren't quite ready. I mean, what was your...
I fucking hate you, Laura Koonsberg. You are a cunt. I hate her with a passion. Award-winning. The only award I want to give her is a fucking jail sentence.
Your first job and what happened there?
I was a newspaper boy in the West End of Newcastle, aged 13, 14, and like all adolescent boys, guess what? I couldn't get out of bed. So it didn't go well because I wasn't delivering the papers, I was sacked. It's the only time in my life so far, anyway, I've ever been sacked from anything, but it was a learning experience because I learned, actually, effort and reward, there's something going on here. Entry-level jobs are disappearing, so the jobs that you used to be able to get the first rung on the ladder, they've gone.
Because some people do think, well, hang on a minute, young people, they just need to pull their finger out. It's never been easy. Actually, they're just spending their time on their phones. They can't be bothered. Even some employers have suggested that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're scum just like you for repeating it. Next.
Yes, and you hear this, it's a soft generation, they're snowflakes, all of these terrible sort of pejorative words. Everything that I've seen, everything that I've heard, all the polling that we have done for this review suggests the reverse of that. What is shameful, to use your word, is that as we've uncovered in the course of this review, for every £25 that we spend keeping young people on benefits, we spend only £1 helping them get into work through employment support.
So the taxpayer's spending 25 times as much money.
25 quid, 25
yes,
times as much.
Obviously.
Exactly.
Obviously they're doing this because it has to involve the entirety of someone's fucking living expenses when they don't have a job from the welfare state. Again, these are totally incomparable numbers. It's insane that this is the conclusion that we're coming to from, again, like genuinely important statements about the contempt and the dismissal and the neglect for the young generations that, of course, he will not admit his complicity in, and neither will Laura Koonsberg, to then go, the problem is that we spend too much on the welfare state. And do you see that? It said, we're spending this much keeping them on benefits.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Benefits and the welfare state is important prima facie, right? It's specifically justifiable on its own terms in terms of being able to provide for people when the macroeconomy does not provide jobs for them, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of having a welfare state. It's not there to keep them there, it's there to help them.
Yeah.
And so the idea that somehow by providing it for them we're somehow making them dependent, it's literally just Tory shit. It's just Tory bullshit.
Well, oh, he's a Tory, yeah. Did you know we spend more on nuclear weapons than we do on paper clips? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
On benefits for young people.
Correct.
Than helping them get the skills they need to get into work.
Correct. So this is a failure. This is a failure of the welfare system, but it's a failure, I'm sorry, of the school system, the skills system, the health system. But the principal reason, the big game changer, has been the rise of ill health amongst young people.
Is it not a failure of the political system? Or do you guys just get a free pass?
I mean, that's, yeah, every single time, not my problem, governor.
70% increase in the number of young people reporting a work-limiting health condition, mainly mental health and neurodiversity conditions. And so as a consequence, they're not able to get into the workplace.
Some politicians' view, some people watching this view, may well be that just far too many people get diagnosed with mental health problems. They then...
Jesus Christ, it's just right-wing shit. Every fucking question. I'm just going to put out another Daily Mail headline to you as a question.
And again, like, it's really worth pointing out that the Shallow says youth unemployment is 16% and systematic. And in general, like, it's worth pointing out too, these same problems are happening across Europe. Let me find a list, you know. Europe youth unemployment. Statista. You look at youth unemployment, like Romania 28%, Sweden 26%, Spain 24%, Estonia 21%, Greece 21%, France 20%, Finland 20%, Luxembourg 20%, Italy 18%, Portugal 18%. Like, every country has this problem. Yeah. Every fucking country has this problem. And in fact, we are doing better. If we were only on 16%, then we're doing better than Denmark. We're doing better than we're basically on the European Union average on this stuff.
And get signed off work.
It's a real thing. It's not a fake thing. This is a generation that is living with more distress, more anxiety, and you'd be pretty anxious if you'd lived through the pandemic, the rise of social media, the digital age, job opportunities disappearing, the world of uncertainty, where there's fewer opportunity, of course. But in a sense, so what? The real question is, just because you've got a diagnosis or a condition, why should that lead to you not being
able to be used as a fucking a money pig for some rich bastard?
Yeah, clearly, your kind of incredibly damaging mental health problems would be fixed pissing in bottles in an Amazon delivery van.
100%.
Transported into the world of benefits rather than into the world of work.
But your party, Labour, has shown itself to be not up for dramatic changes to the welfare state. You can't take
literally
the vulnerable.
Same fucking propaganda every time from her. It's like, well, you say this, but you didn't want to murder the disabled. And they did do some murdering of the disabled, because it's worth pointing out, by the way, that PIP has no work requirement, so it's just there for the kind of the daily living costs that all disabled people have, where they're not there in work. And that was the thing that they U-turned on, or they're going to be changing them after the Timms review, and they will come back to wanting to murder the disabled later on in the year. Look forward to November for that. But when it comes to the limited capability for work-related activity payment, which is what essentially the part of universal credit that used to be called incapacity, that's what they cut in half, right? They did not just target disabled people more broadly. They deliberately targeted disabled people who are so disabled they cannot fucking work, right? Yeah. That's a specific demographic that they fucking targeted with these welfare cuts. So you fucking come to me, Laura, and say, well, they won't do welfare cuts. They literally targeted people who are the sickest in the country. These people are monsters.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know that I could build a trebuchet big enough for all of them. But it won't stop me trying.
People, it would be wrong. It might even be immoral. What do you say to people in your own party who are frightened and reluctant to make any big changes to the welfare system?
So two things. One, Labour is what it says on the tin. It's the party of work. Work gives purpose. Work gives income.
It sets you free.
Gives meaning. The second thing is, welfare reform is absolutely essential and needs to be done. But as I said, it's got to be within the context of a wider set of reforms to state institutions.
What is the answer to all of this?
It's a system reset that is needed. This isn't a new policy, it's a new approach that is needed. And critically,
the only system reset I want to see is that when you're on life support, we reset that fucking system, mate.
Yeah, I would like to delete System 32 of Alan Milburn.
Have you talked to Kim Ledbetter lately?
The way that approach has to be delivered is in local areas, in local labour markets. So I think this is where the whole devolution agenda is so critically important. So we're talking to mayors and local authorities about, okay, so what role could you be playing?
What about, though, the overall economic picture? Because some businesses also say, well, hang on a minute, the government's made it more expensive for us to hire young people.
Whether it's
it's just right-wing shit every fucking question. Oh. Did Kenneth write these questions for you? Because it used to be Tory leaders you'd give the questions to. Is it reversed now? Are the Tory leaders giving you the questions? I don't know. Sounds like fucking PMQs all over again, except with less sass.
The rise in national insurance contributions or the youth minimum wage, all of the problem predates all of that. This goes
but it
back
hasn't made
decades.
it easier, though, has it?
No, and I think for employers, increasingly what they will say, and obviously we're talking to a lot of employers about this, is if you like the pastoral burden that we're being asked to undertake now with a more anxious generation, often with mental health problems, who've been out of the workplace, living in their bedrooms for sort of not months but years, is just higher. If we can't make the future of the next generation of 1 million young people the cause for politics and the cause for the nation, whether it's parents, communities, charities, schools, colleges, mayors, local authorities or employers, then I don't know what we can.
Are you saying, Alan, that maybe we should have a thing, like a contract that we keep between each other and between generations collectively as a society, right? You saying that maybe we should have something like that? I don't know what one might call such a thing.
A kind of contract social. Perhaps, to be a little bit French.
You've gone right to something I was going to ask you about. Is the
He's gone far right too. Hey-oh.
Cause of the Labour Party these days. You must be gutted as a long-time member of the Labour Party to see how much has gone wrong in less than 2 years for the people who've come after you.
So it's obviously not been a great time, has it? And I think, in the country there's a sense of disappointment about what has happened. I just hope that the Labour Party learns from it.
And why have they struggled to do it so far, do you think?
Because I think they came in with I don't think they came in with an agenda for change. And when you're facing, look, nowadays in politics, honestly, the headwinds are always stronger than the tailwinds. And there you are, you're captain of the ship at sea.
It is actually really funny to me just how often everyone's just saying this now.
Yeah.
Every single person just saying this openly. Oh, they're directionless. They don't really have a plan for change. They don't really know what they're doing. They didn't really come into government with a set of policies that they were going to implement. It's been a bit of a mess. And I was just like, well, maybe if you'll look at my tweets from 2021, I could have predicted all of this because I did.
Yeah, but you're an anti-Semite, so sharp.
Like, the fact that political journalists and politicians have worse predictive powers and analytical powers than shitposting accounts with Simpsons profile pictures just shows how rotten this country is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty rocky and it's coming towards you. And unless you know where your destination is, the risk is you move that way, and the other way. Sometimes you move back rather than moving forwards. Politics in the end, progressive politics in particular,
you're not a progressive politician and you never have been. Shut up.
Is all about the future.
Alan Milburn, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us.
Well, I hope you don't see too much more of the future.
Well, Alan Milburn there explaining what he thinks is going very, very wrong with employment, education and young people. Now, James, your life is talking to employers and studying the jobs market. From your point of view, what is going wrong?
Sort of everything is what Alan was sort of saying. He said there was a need for a systemic reset, and there's a systemic failure, really. I feel we've created a society that's in many ways toxic for young people, whether it's social media, as we were just discussing, but also this employment environment. And he touched upon the minimum wage and national insurance. But employers don't just touch upon that, they dwell upon it because it's costing them a lot. So we've seen the minimum wage for a 21-year-old increase considerably in this country.
Oh no, we have to pay our employers. No, employees. Yeah, you fucking should. Like, if you can't afford to run a business and pay your people enough to live on, you shouldn't have a business.
Again, like you did these young people that people are trying to claim on going into work quickly enough. Like, as if they're going to be more likely to work if they're being offered less.
Yeah. Oh, we can't employ our people at slave labour wages. Fuck off. Just fuck off into the sun, all of you.
now costs an employer £29,654 to employ a 21-year-old 40 hours a week for a year, which
Yeah, it should be more.
is 74% more than it cost in 2020.
Okay, so we were underpaying young people in the past. What's your point?
And again, as Alan Milburn pointed out, these problems of youth unemployment all predate these increases to the minimum wage and national insurance contributions for employers.
Part of that extra cost, that extra £12,000 is how much it's gone up. 4,500 is actually tax taken by the government. So in an environment where we've got AI burning through jobs, we've got, unfortunately, policymakers pouring fuel on the fire.
But no, it's not AI burning through jobs. It's ruthless capitalist cunts destroying people's livelihoods by employing shit AI to do things less well.
Yeah.
Because it's making it more expensive and more difficult for employers.
So the government's economic decisions around taxation, in your view, have made it harder for employers to take on young people.
I welcome Alan's claim, cause, that we should make a cause out of this, because I think we should, that we should really focus on this, but it needs to be focused in the whole, and it needs to be a holistic approach. It needs the whole system needs to be looking at this, because it's a huge problem.
Vicky, I know you've been writing about...
To be fair, I'm focused on a whole because there is an arsehole on my fucking screen right now.
about this as well, and you, this week I think you were on a visit to a job centre, and what's your take on what's
Actually,
really going
pause
on
again,
here?
sorry. I mean, Set the Shallows right in chat. Like, obviously AI hasn't helped, but this basically all started because of the interest rate jump in 2020 and the fact that we spent time where we could have been investing in the future of children and in education and building up the social sector and the broader kind of social state in this country, and we gave free money to corporations to bid up the price of houses.
Yeah.
So I've been making this podcast series for The Rest is Politics about Gen Z, and
The Rest is Politics. Yeah, that's the stable she's in. Cool.
and 12,000 people responded to a survey that we did. 6,000 were aged between 14 and 29. They want to work. They are applying for jobs and they are not hearing back. And when I was at the job centre in Birmingham on Thursday...
Oh, God. She went on a poverty safari to Brum. Thanks. So the only time that literally just people from London coming to Brum going, oh, look at how these poor people live. Oh, this
Look
is
at the
terrible.
rats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's just the people.
I was honestly quite shocked by what I was hearing. I met a 24-year-old who's desperate to work in hospitality. You'd think that job is there for them in Birmingham. Cannot get a job, isn't hearing back. I met an 18-year-old who wants to be an apprentice in electrical engineering on the railways. The government funding for the apprenticeship that he would do isn't available till he's 19 and a half.
So people are stuck in the system then, Rachel?
Yeah, look, I go up and down the country talking to children. I'm doing a big survey, big future survey for young people up to the age of 18, asking them what they really care about, and is life as good?
Surveys are nice. Talking to people is nice. I think that's worthwhile. But the government need to actually fucking invest in this shit. That's the thing that people don't ever want to fucking mention because it's politically inconvenient or whatever.
It's why so fucking tilting. They're going, we've got this like youth guarantee, which they're presenting as a job guarantee. When it's not a job guarantee, it's workfare. Yep. They're putting incredibly small amounts of actual investment into it anyway, even the things that they are doing. And it's again rehashing a policy that's been tried a million times and has always failed, both by Blair and by Cameron. And on top of this, like the private companies that they've chosen to partner with to give people cheap subsidized labor includes the private fucking water companies injecting shit in the rivers.
Yeah. But he definitely understands the scope of the problem and is going to have bold change and a different approach to government.
Now, as say, when we were growing up, number one thing, and I was up in Preston at Cardinal Newman Sixth Form College, 5,000 students, up in Blackburn, up in Carlisle, the number one thing the kids are telling us, young people are telling us, is we want great jobs, we're worried about money, we're worried about barriers. Actually, the mental health issue has switched right down.
Have we considered doubling the money that pensioners get? I feel like that's the thing that would really solve the problem, actually. Have we thought about a quadruple lock?
As has climate. They're more concerned about, have I got enough friends, world peace? But on the job issue, there is...
Yeah, thanks for belittling the concept of world peace there with your silly voice. I fucking hate everyone in the world.
Although I must say though, having a genocide live streamed into your phone that your government has complicit in, probably also not very good for mental health.
Well, that's why I'd mentioned it at the start. She was like, "Oh, war in Ukraine, war in Iran." You don't want to mention literally the videos of liquidized babies? No, you just literally corpses being burned in hospital. No, okay, cool.
It's also worth pointing out, by the way, like talking about the opinions of young people. Remember, like the Conservative Party flagship policy for young people at the last election was fucking national service.
Yeah, join the army and that. Thanks, Risho.
Lack of ambition in England's young people. No lack of ambition at all. However, I think Alan Milburn was right in that schools need to focus more on working with employers and getting careers done. I surveyed every single head teacher in the country, 90% response rate. Only 2% of them thought careers or work was their issue.
But James, what is the solution? I mean, we heard this week.
Okay, here's the solution, right? We don't want to pay pensioners not to freeze to death, obviously. So what we do is, rather than doing the mealy-mouthed selling the futures of the poor to fund the lifestyles of the rich elderly people, we literally just burn young people in the fire in the houses of the rich older people.
And then they can go on cruises and then bring back cancer virus.
Yeah, that literally, like, all I'm saying is, if we just burn young people, then there's no more unemployed young people. Have we considered this?
So true.
From these.
Sorry, I think we're streeting just ejaculated at that thought.
Kids, some saying they were applying for hundreds of jobs and never even hearing back. I mean,
that's happening. I mean, that's happening.
But is there any excuse for employers doing that?
Not really.
Yeah, there is. They own everything, so, and the government are not going to do anything to stop it. So yeah, that's why.
No, it's not good behaviour. They should reply. I think there is a shortage of jobs. I mean, the number of vacancies has continued to decline relentlessly.
But no, if we take away all the disabled people's money, they'll be able to waltz into a job tomorrow.
Literally.
And they'll definitely be employed, having just come out of whilst continuing having like loads of kind of problems with a disability. I'm sure employers will be desperate to take them on.
Okay. An addendum to my previous plan. Eventually we will run out of young people. Disabled. Just saying. I can literally feel Darren Jones writing the white paper as we speak.
The pandemic.
But if
there's a real sort of shortage of jobs, and there's a supply problem and a demand problem.
But if there was one thing that you could do, and you've spent your whole career working in this area, if there was one thing that you could do to help improve this situation, what would it be?
I'd abolish national insurance on employers.
Yeah, of course you would. What I want is a massive tax cut for me and my rich friends. Cool. Yeah, that's definitely going to improve everything.
Very interesting. Well, we'll see if the government is listening.
Very interesting. Not going to fucking question the massive fucking hole that would leave in government finances. Laura, no, not going to mention how crippling that would be to the public finances at all. Just, oh, that's interesting. What a journalist. What an award-winning fucking journalist we have here.
To that, thank you all three of you for now. Let's go back then to our main story today. Earlier we heard from the family and the victim.
Well, who else
of
is
a
left
rape
on the show, by the way?
Bobby J.
Do you want to torture us with Robert Jenrick?
Not especially. No.
I would not like that.
Yeah, and also I'm angry enough as it is.
Yeah,
I don't want to listen to this prick going about how actually we're not cutting taxes enough for the rich. Anyway, everyone.
That was really fucking depressing.
Yeah, everyone go and fucking. No, actually, I can't say that. I can't. No, I can't do it. Okay. Yeah, everyone go follow No Justice MTG instead then.
Yeah, please support the channel with money, as I have not received any money support, money support tonight. if you can gift some memberships, please. I should sound like I'm begging for money.
It's $5 a month.
$5 a month.
Whatever happened to her? Is she still going? I hope not.
Didn't she go? She got banned off of Twitch for supporting the Popular Fund for the Liberation of Palestine.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what Caitlin's up to, but I'm going to send you over there.
I'm going to send people over to the formerly mentioned on stream left of the box.
Well, I'll do that on YouTube as well, but that was on Twitch. Yeah. Go and say hello to them, etc.
Please do. And indeed, of course, follow Kevin Logan. That's at Ploppy111 over on the YouTubes or twitch.tv/KFLogan1875.
Go and follow No Justice MTG. That's No Justice Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of the
Absolutely. Did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene posting about like Thomas Massey? She was literally just like the Epstein class have won.
Well, she's right.
Yeah, I mean, she's a really weird heel term, but I guess that she's just part of the America First crowd who are preparing for the post-Trump era. Pretty
much. Okie doke. I'll see you all today because it's past midnight.
It is, yeah. Well, again, I've got a whole massive segment I'm going to do on why the Labour Party suck. I'm so sick of Starmerite's pretending that he's not done a bunch of fucking egregious, awful, indefensible, putrid, monstrous shit. And they keep going, but he's just so nice. He's such a nice man. Why don't people like the nice man, the competent grown-up? I'm just like, he's fucking evil, and I have proof. I've brought receipts. And so I want to have an entire video of receipts as to why I think Keir Starmer is a moral vacuum. That's what I'm going to film tomorrow.
Okay. Free Palestine.
From river to sea.
Bye.
Goodbye.